Imperialism is a multifaceted and complex phenomenon that has taken different forms throughout history. It can be generally understood as the extension of a nation's power and influence through the acquisition of colonies or territories abroad. In the context of capitalism, imperialism is seen as a natural progression, because capitalism is driven by the pursuit of profit and growth and the accumulation of wealth. The history of imperialism is characterized by the exploitation and domination of colonized territories, which has resulted in social, economic, and political inequalities. In this video, I will explore why imperialism is a natural progression of capitalism by examining its historical roots. Make sure to subscribe. The historical roots of imperialism can be tracked back to the early days of capitalism, when European powers began to expand their territories and establish overseas colonies. This was driven by the desire for new markets, resources, and labor to sustain the growth of capitalist economies. The colonization of America began with the arrival of the Spanish in the late 15th century, followed by the British, French, and Dutch. The colonial project in America was characterized by the forced displacement of indigenous populations, the exploitation of natural resources, and the development of slave labor systems that fueled the growth of capitalist economies. The British Empire in particular was able to establish a global empire through the acquisition of colonies in Africa, Asia, and the Americas, which provided new markets, resources, and labor for British industries. The colonization of India, Australia, and Ireland is a testament to the exploitative nature of imperialism. However, imperialism also took other forms outside of Europe. Japan, for instance, began a process of imperial expansion in the late 19th century, which was driven by the desire to secure resources, markets, and strategic positions in Asia. Japan's colonization of Korea in the early 20th century and its territorial expansion during World War II are examples of how imperialism can take different forms depending on the historical context and the specific interests of the imperial power. The United States is also an example of a capitalist power that has engaged in imperialist practices throughout its history. From its early days as a colonial power, the United States has sought to expand its territories and influence, which has resulted in the acquisition of territories such as Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. The United States has also been involved in numerous military interventions and wars, such as the Vietnam and Korean War, which were justified as necessary for national security, but were also driven by economic and strategic interests. The invasion of Iraq in 2003, for example, was justified as a necessary response to terrorism, but was also motivated by the desire to secure oil resources in the Middle East. The legacy of imperialism is complex and multifaceted, and it continues to shape the social, economic, and political structures of countries around the world today. Many post-colonial countries continue to suffer from the economic and social inequalities that were created by imperialism, and the legacy of colonialism can still be seen in the cultural, political, and economic structures of many countries. However, there is also a growing movement to challenge the legacy of imperialism and to work towards a more equitable and just global system. This movement is characterized by recognition of the historical and ongoing injustices of imperialism and a commitment to creating a more equitable and just world order. Imperialism is a natural progression of capitalism because it allows capitalist powers to expand their markets, access new resources and labor, and generate profits through economic and political domination. Imperialism has taken different forms throughout history, but it has always been driven by the pursuit of profit, growth, and the accumulation of wealth. The examples used in this video demonstrate how imperialism was a natural product of capitalist expansionism, and how it has left a lasting impact on the societies and cultures of colonized territories. One of the key challenges in addressing the legacy of imperialism is the continuing economic and political inequalities that were created by colonialism. Many post-colonial countries continue to struggle with poverty, underdevelopment, and political instability, which can be tracked back to the exploitation and domination of colonial powers. The development of global capitalism has also worsened these inequalities, as a concentration of wealth and power in the hands of a few multinational corporations has created new forms of economic domination and exploitation. Another challenge is the cultural and social impact of imperialism, which has left a lasting legacy on the societies and cultures of colonized territories. The imposition of Western culture, language, and values on non-Western societies has resulted in the erasure of local cultures and traditions, and has contributed to the development of a global culture that is dominated by Western ideas and norms. This has also contributed to the marginalization and exclusion of non-Western voices and perspectives, and has perpetuated a global power imbalance that privileges Western countries and cultures. Some claim that the Soviet Union engaged in imperialism, but this was not the case. The Soviet Union was founded on Marxist-Leninist principles, which emphasized the importance of international solidarity and the overthrow of the bourgeoisie. While the Soviet Union did engage in expansionist policies, such as the expansion of socialism in Eastern European countries after World War II, these policies were not driven by a desire for profit or economic domination, but rather by a desire to spread the socialist revolution and create a new world order. Moreover, the Soviet Union did not exhibit the same kind of economic domination over its satellite states that imperialist powers often display over their colonies. While the Soviet Union did provide economic aid and resources to its satellite states, it did not engage in the kind of economic exploitation that characterized imperialist relationships. Additionally, the Soviet Union often provided military and political support to anti-colonial movements in Africa and Asia, further demonstrating its commitment to global solidarity and anti-imperialist struggles. In conclusion, imperialism is a natural progression of capitalism, which has been driven by the pursuit of profit, growth, and accumulation of wealth. I hope this video demonstrates how imperialism was a natural product of capitalist expansionism, and how it has left a lasting impact on the societies and cultures of colonized territories. However, there is a growing recognition of the need to address the legacy of imperialism and work towards a more equitable and just global system. This requires a commitment to promoting social, economic, and political justice for all people, and to challenging the structures of power and domination that perpetuate global inequalities. By working together, we can create a more equitable and just world for all people and communities. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, and I hope to see you again shortly. I will link all the sources that I've used in this video in the description.